Hello everyone, I'm Sidival, and today we continue read World and Economica. Previously, Haro getting you in his new home. I guess. Uh, hmm, oh yeah, get this home uh, with Lisa and another girl whose name I obviously don't remember because I have bad memory for names. Anyway, this is actually an interesting place because it's actually not a home, not a house, but church. Um, but still. Hmm. Did I forget to save? For some reason, I feel like we was a little ahead. Um. mm, yeah, we definitely actually read. Um. I mean, I'm put about new first morning in title because I totally remember it's someone. Oh, we stopped. It was an hour scene. It was morning. Um, so let's skip a little. Um, um okay. Um, totally read it. Nice. this when we stopped. So let's continue. Just need to drink a little water. Okay, morning. The first thing I did was confirm what I could survive an hour day. I figured I'd inspect my things and decided to look for the bug I was clutching before. But when I realized it was gone, a shiver went down my spine. Hmm. Okay, so it is his room. I was seeing with background with an hour files when I choose used for thumbnail, but I wasn't exactly sure what it's his room in church, so I don't really use it for thumbnail. But anyway, I sprang to my feet, but then I realized I was in bed. I suddenly remembered what happened last night. This wasn't a bar in a dodgy internet cafe, but a house connected to a church, managed by a strange woman named Lisa. It, it had been a long time since I'd been able to sleep in a place where I could stretch out my limbs. It wasn't so bad to wake up without being in pain. Good morning, you're up early. Still in the worn out old clothing I'd borrowed last night, I walked into the living room, where Lisa was sitting in a corner with a computer. Looking at the book like organic display, it didn't look like she was just messing around. Except for Sunday, I usually get up around now. Actually, I didn't pay attention, but now our main character, written as Hal, before it was always Yeshihara, I believe. Well, нет, it actually was Hal, I guess, after he agreed to be called like this. Sorry. You're pretty disciplined for a runaway. I'm impressed. It's not of your business. Lisa shrugged her shoulders, turned back to the display, and hit a number of keys before standing up from her chair. Do you want breakfast? Judging from your name, your parents must be Japanese. Oh yeah, you already told me that. I wonder if I have any rice. Even with that said, I didn't really have any appetite. That's alright. I've got a chocolate bar in my bag. I want some coffee. Then I said that Lisa looked surprised. Her beautiful almond-shaped eyes widened and seems frozen in place. As long as my eyes have been black in them, I will always try to have 3 meals a day. Your eyes aren't even black. It's a figure of speech. I looked away in disdain like a spoiled bride. In the end, Lisa prepared some bread, bacon, and eggs. A long time ago, the folks from Earth couldn't have imagined journeying beyond their planet and still being able to eat the same things there what they did at home. In our words, they imagined food to be some strange, colorful supplement in a tube with who knows what kind of vaguely food-like nutrients in it. Sure, you could, sure, you could find stuff like that, but immigrants were surprised to find out that things on the moon's surface seems rarely no different from Earth. I didn't think too much about it. Do you have a net connection here? To me, a net connection was more important even than a silicon dioxide factory producing fresh oxygen. Theoretically, no matter where you were in the lunar city, you should be within range of a virus signal, or so the plan was originally. For areas where the cost-benefit performance of maintenance wasn't high, if the relay station broke, things would just stay that way. Besides, if you looked around, you could find public institutions with terminals free to use. So places with no wireless receptions carved out the area like Swiss cheese. If I couldn't use the net here, I would have to find a place like the Big Bull Cafe again. However, I was hopeful because the computer Lisa was using was connected to the endless sea, that was the net. What? Are you some kind of net addict? Given that I also slept at the net cafe, I suppose you could say that I was. However, as I turned on my mobile PC, I was lost as to how I should respond. It wasn't against the law to say that I was trading stocks as a miner. From that point of view, it wasn't a problem to just say so. The problem was that I was raking in the cash by normal standards. And for the sixth outer section, this appeared to be a lower income area. Did the inhabitants here earn about 1000 moles a month, 2000 moles, or better yet, did anyone here hold down any steady work? It wasn't very clear if this church had any money. A good poker player never shows his head, or so they say. So I should assume that they had some hidden away monetary reserves. I lowered my head like a turtle as I spoke. Something more important than even a name, perhaps? Lisa didn't even persist in asking my real name. At my words, Lisa's hands slowly stopped, and she looked right at me. Looking at her calm but displeased face, I was ready to say that I was interrupted by the pursuit of money. It isn't anything illegal, right? And the words that came out after that were those that I was sure would let me off the hook. That is definitely not the case. You have my word. In that case, I won't ask about it. That was unexpected. Lisa seems to mouth those words a number of times. She smiled in slight puzzlement as she spoke. Boys are creatures who would die without secrets. In my heart, I screamed out against being treated like a child, but were my lips to move, I would sound just like one. I chose to stay silent as I logged into my trading account. Those thoughts had long since been expelled from my mind completely. My concern turned towards the up and down movements of digits and the flow of money. I skipped. Sorry. My concern turned towards the up and down movements of digits and the flow of money it referred to. Okay. The market had fallen into disarray. One particular market on Earth was shaken up, and its repercussions were felt by the financial markets that tied to the world together. Apparently, it was something about Russia sending force into satellite countries because of natural gas fields. Typical stuff. Hey! I mean... okay, no comments about real politics. I mean real world politics. So let's just don't talk about it. If the conclusion of the Cold War that brought the world together happened in an instant, after the panic of nuclear weapons in a small country in the Caucasus region, dubbed the Second Cuban Missile Crisis, mankind finally took a real look at the situation before them. Although the Cuban Missile Crisis was one of the actions that led to the end of the Cold War, It was also a confrontation between superpowers. In the second Cuban Missiles Crisis, it wasn't a confrontation between superpowers that brought the world together, but a confrontation between anarchic terrorists and the countries of the world. The result was the complete cooperation of the world and the desire to look towards the stars in preparations for another such moment. Everyone knew, everyone knew that there would always be disputes when it came to the utilization of land on Earth. These issues would be pigeonholed into a far-away place above and away, literally. With the development of the space elevator, major technological breakthroughs were made at breakneck speed during the development of lunar cities. However, just as eventually all memories fade over time, the moon stayed from their original goal as the world's utopia. After being firmly established, much like countries all over the world, its sovereign, sovereign. I know this word, I don't know how to pronounce it right. 1 second, please. Sorry for pause. Just sovereignty. I still don't know exactly how it's pronounced. I'll listen it to on translator anyway. I thought because I kinda want the purpose why I do this when streams. It's not only because I actually want to read visual novels. It's also because I kinda want to use it to do it in hope for my English became a little better. I'm pretty sure I make some mistakes with this phrase, but whatever. Okay, let's continue. It serves sovereignty and independence to the extent of maintaining its own independent military force. Thus, the countries of New York turned their gaze from the sky to the ground again, having working from their dream. This was the gist of what I understood about the history of the world. I knew more minute details beyond this, but delving too deep would make it difficult to see the big picture. My knowledge was entirely tied to stock trading after all. If there were to be a disturbance in some region of some country on Earth, it would probably have a large impact on the people who live there and the corporations which operated there. But it would have a little global impact. And because there would be little global impact, tragedies would continue on Earth. This was something that immigrants from my town who were coming from particularly dreadful place on Earth had said, which had left the biggest impression in my mind. Looking down at the Earth from the space elevator, I could see that all the dreadful problems out there grew smaller and smaller, much like the place of my birth. And to this day, there were places on Earth where missiles fell more than rain did. There was a rise in number of unskilled laborers wanting to come to the moon, especially those who no longer wanted to live on on Mother Earth anymore. The real kicker was that the people of the developer world seemed to know absolutely nothing about the world outside of their borders. Here, everyone more or less knew about these rising problems when it came to this energetic bunch in their stubbornly result mindset. What was hidden eventually became known. Hmm. Their mantra was, "We will not allow this to become an our Earth." Hmm. It was a great concept. I'd like more of this. Hmm. I mean, they said this, but it was already shown what this in Munder's, I guess, big distinctions between people in Lunar City, or I don't remember if it's right name, but I mean city in center of this thing and with people outside. But maybe. Hmm. If nothing else, I'd like to continue to partake in free handouts like that. Huh. Strangely, even when I was completely focused on stock trading, the more I concentrated, the more another part of me started waking up. It felt like I had two personalities within me. Hmm. When I signed after completing my trades, it really did feel like I logged out of the world of the net. It was the feeling of the two halves of me joining back into one. In the warp speed pace of stock trading, it was like the brakes were hit as gravity and time returned back to normal. It wasn't all that bad, at least, until I re sorry, re-evaluated the results of today's trades. I'd been glued to the screen since morning, without stopping to eat or drink, and I was up our 7,000 moves for the day. If there were smooth days, things would go the way they did today and continue at this pace. Sorry. 1 second, please. Let me pour some water to drink. Okay, yeah, let me read it again. I think I didn't read it until the end. If there was smooth days, things would go the way they did today and continue at this pace. I'd been never it been nerve-wracking calculating how things would go from last week. I could feel the fatigue in my body as I fell from my cross-legged sitting position and lay down. Hmm. Only in this moment was my mind blank. Even in my dreams, I'd be handling financial transactions. So this moment was probably more relaxing than when I was sleeping. Even the most effective leaders on Earth holdings, uh, uh, sorry, even the most effective leaders on Earth holding onto their hegemony were said to spend anywhere from a few minutes to a maximum of an hour sleeping. I was very aware of this. If I were to plan my conquest of the world, it would be uh, unfathomable, unfathomable hmm, to waste time sleeping. I actually don't know this word. Anyway, I mean, true. After all, someone's over in the world was working, continued to effect some change. Hence, sleeping meant to sleep a small fraction from the forefront. I went for the goal of conquering the stock market. I had to mm, partition on out of the limits of my brain capacity. Thus, total control was still a far out concept. Mm, I mean, it's not entirely wrong, even if it's kind of seems as unhealthy obsessions. But I feel in reality, uh, uh, successful people in like indeed uh, should and probably give a lot of time for working, like most of the time, to actually become successful. Um, so yeah, honestly, I'm a little envy for his dedication because I personally can't do like this. I'm actually, I mean, I honestly uh, find hard to actually find energy to do things and not sleep. But anyway, um, however, one day I will conquer the market, extract endless amounts of money from it, and pile it all together to reach out and journey to undiscovered lands, opening the door to the next destination for mankind after the moon. It was like I stopped my brain cells from relaxing and filled my disconnected brain with a new, seething blood flow. I took a deep breath and opened my eyes, ready to get up in one motion. That stopped my movement in its tracks, along with my thought process was purely an accident. Mm. When I opened my eyes, everything in front of me was all pitch black. No, or rather, it was a pitch black cloth. Um, One part of it had a unique and continuous contour to it, while another part appeared to be zigzagging layers of plates. And beyond that, I could see through a break in the black fabric of that appeared to be some sort of white fabric. It passed naively over my head. That came next into my vision was Hagana's face, as if she noticed something suddenly and turned around. Why did you open your eyes? Are you an idiot? Those were words that didn't seem out of place. I don't know if you appended it with that. She wasn't acting shy or embarrassed, and apparently she wasn't even angry. Instead, Hagana looked disdainfully at me. It was probably a bad idea to have lain down to rest right along the shortest path to the kitchen from the living room. But even then, shouldn't Hagana been more careful wearing something as defenseless as a skirt? Besides, her lack of shame would make mannequins look inhibited. Just thinking of that made any advantage to the situation a bit lacking. Without a doubt, finding any excitement in the contents of Hagana's skirt seemed rather like a losing proposition. I'd like to stay a rational person if possible. Mm, that was why I got up and returned to my computer screen. Hmm. Where is Lisa? I heard Hagana's voice coming from her direction. She had a white mustache around her mouth after drinking milk, which certainly was quite a feat in nutritional intake and more amazing than the chemical synthesis that created it. Like at know, after having her makeup full of me, on top of having that idiotic white mustache on her face, I found myself rather irritated. At my rather short answer, Hagana showed her disapproval with a raised eyebrow. Haven't you been here the whole time? How come you don't know? Are you an idiot? I started feeling like every sentence she spoke would have those words tagged silently on the end. It was true that I'd been here the whole time, but I did not notice her getting up and leaving me behind during my deep concentration. I considered explaining that to her, but I found it to be so annoying that I just disregarded it out. In doing so, I heard the darnest things from Hagana. Hmm. I was surprised. I was surprised. In fact, you could say that it was as if my brain shorted out, and for a brief moment everything was blank. I turned around and just looked at Hagana with a what? Expression on my face. Hagana looked back at me without any expression on hers, seemingly saying that I was nothing but useless garbage. No matter how much of an effort I was making at being a gentleman, I realized that I was reaching my limit with her. Mm, There was no way this absolutely cheeky girl was going to behave. The circuits in my head shifted gear, switching on the adrenaline. My arms and legs seemed to have magically become supple. I swear, if she said on an hour what, I was going to tackle her to the ground. When it came to inflicting pain without leaving any marks on the face or body, I happen to know a thing or two about that. Okay. I learned a lot from Eastern European immigrants who came from unstable countries where the secret police were in full force. I tried some of those techniques on myself, and I experienced hell. The only thought in my mind was the delusion of seeing Hagana's cheeky face streaking with tears, begging for forgiveness. It would be good for Hagana to lift up the lid to the abyss of hell. That would teach her. Well, we already established in previous episodes what Hal wasn't really uh, good or friendly person. So okay, I mean, I guess we kind of can say what he kind of a little edgy child. But anyway, as I started Hagana with an icy glare, something happened that inhabited my rage. I mean, also to be fair, he's not actually acted on these thoughts, and I mean, we all can have doubts like this about people we don't like or find annoying. So I guess it's not so bad, even if it seems like this while we read it. Hmm. I'm back. Lisa returned through a door in the corridor that probably led to the church proper. In her hand was a burlap bag filled to the brim with all sorts of things. It was a city policy to reuse anything that was reusable as much as possible. This led me to believe that her burlap bag was certainly an example of that, given all the multiple patch marks on it. Hmm? As soon as she entered the living room, Lisa seems to sense what was going on. Or rather, it would be obvious, even to an idiot, what with Hagana silently staring daggers at me. I paid Hagana no attention at all, as I turned my attention back to the computer screen. Hagana. When Lisa called her name, Hagana turned to her like a dog to its owner. You'll kill off brain cells if you stay angry like that. The heck was that? I looked up, and of all things, so Hagana not in agreement. Are you so easily convinced by something said to trick children? As I looked on, dumbfounded, Hagana seemed sorry. As I looked on, dumbfounded, Hagana seems to have given up dealing with me and proceeded to rub her fingers along her forehead. And then she closed her eyes, skillfully pouring milk into her cup, and had a second drink. Before she drank it, she went through this mantra: Calcium appeased, appeases anger. Phew, sorry. Mm, anger. Um, anyway, um, exactly. It didn't seem like she was trying to pull a fast one, but I was stumped as to whether this was all a ploy or not. The only thing I knew was that Hagana hated my guts. I was sure that bit about calcium was a snide remark at me. It wasn't too much what her anger had subsidized as it was expressed in a different manner. Hagana finished her milk, then watched Lisa throw her groceries into the refrigerator. Lisa, auditorium key. Huh? Oh, didn't I give it to you? You didn't give it to me, and I also checked everywhere, just in case. The only other possibility was that Lisa still had it, or he stole. Oh, right. Hold on a minute. If expert skill, uh, if expert skill, and before Hagana even lifted a finger to point at me, Lisa went into action, searching her pockets and burlap bag. It was apparently hidden away in her wallet. This always happens when I make a habit of whom. Hmm. To say that without even skipping a bit. It wasn't something one would be happy about. But as Lisa was unfazed by her words, it looked like this was fairly normal. That's true. Well, you'd better explain my screw up clearly then. Yes, a simple reason. Agana said that as she took the key and turned away. The hem of her skirt turned lightly in sync with the graceful movement of her long, beautiful black hair. Her footsteps faded as she left the living room, and I could hear the door to her room close. Left there, Lisa sighed with relief, then let out a strident loud as she looked at me. Soon after she closed her door, I heard it open and close again as Hagan returned to the living room. In her hand was a small black bag. I'll be on my way. Hmm, did she going to school? Or maybe she working? Hmm, I mean, it will be strange if she studying science. It seems like she also ran away as Hal, but I guess it will be explained to us. Alright, see you later. Agana only talked to Lisa, and without a single word to me, she left through the hallway. However, her cold glance at me seems to say, "Oh, my, you still are here. You are still here." It wouldn't appear that Hagana had and identified me unconditionally as her enemy. She really is a bit of a tough girl to deal with. It seems that Lisa Muttering weren't calling me out as being at fault, but they were somewhat supportive of me. A bit? Those were there the first words out of my mouth. Just a bit. She really is a good girl. It's not just a standard line to say for someone that has issues. Lisa put a hand on her cheek as she looked down with a somewhat cold expression in her eyes. I'm not somewhat cold-hearted like you, I would think. Okay, already. You don't need to be angry. Mm-hmm. That's better. Lisa smiled from ear to ear as she folded her empty bag carefully. Well, what should I do? Did you want to have dinner earlier? Huh? I gruffly retorted at a question I wasn't expecting. You couldn't really skip out on lunches now, could you? In fact, you didn't even really answer my question at all. What have you been doing? Judging by her surprised face, I could see what she wasn't trying to cross-examine me. I scratched my head and just mumbled a response. That's fine. I'm going to make a dinner, but what do you want to? But what do you want to do? Do you want to eat here? Of course, it is cheaper than eating out, but I make no guarantees about the taste. You'd, you'd better not make such bad jokes. I wanted to respond instinctively, but going out now to find a place for food was just as much of a pain. If nothing else, I didn't have many qualms about that anyway. If you are offering food there, then here is fine. I don't want to deal with the cops anyway. As long as it isn't poisonous, I'm fine with it. Not a problem, but if you want to eat now, I'll start cooking then. Well? Huh? Well, wouldn't it be a pain to have to cook multiple times? That is true, but well, that's a surprise. Didn't think you'd be concerned. I might have run away from home, but that doesn't mean I'm some sort of uncivil- uncivilized delinquent. Liz lightly sighed at my insistence. That sounds like something a common thug would say. Oh, shut up. Regardless of whatever I cook now or later, I'm just letting you know what Hagala will be home late. Hmm. Actually, when I'm not watching out for her, she doesn't properly feed herself, so I was planning on eating with her. However, after seeing what happened earlier, I kind of wonder if you are the same as well. Hmm. It was appeared that there was some great animosity towards me from Hagana. I had no idea what was gotten her panties in a bunch. Did I cope I feel the first time I met her? I don't really remember it at all, but she didn't really have much to cope I feel from as far as I could tell. Of course, it is my intention for all of us to sit at the dinner table in friendship. Ah, that came out of my mouth without thinking. Such a calm pacifist opinion isn't what I want to hear. Well, a ball that falls to the ground hits will the most force at impact. But things eventually subside, do they not? Such approaches solve many a problem. By my personal philosophy, I wanted to protest, but I felt relieved somehow. I was thinking it was something like shaking hands as a way of reconciliation. That would be fine too. Believe it or not, I look at things pragmatically. That would be a big help. A big help. After I said that, I took a deep breath and returned to the subject at hand. I wouldn't mind eating earlier. Well, alright. I'll get to it then. Thank you. At my sudden politeness, Lisa giggled to herself like a spoiled brat. Hmm. Out came bean soup. Out came bean soup, fish, menuire, and bread. The beans were ground by a neighbor. The fish was a type of trout that was shared from a bunch fished out of a canal around the town. and the bread was cheap leftovers from the bakery apparently. I thought they might have been leftovers, or maybe even poisonous, but it all tasted so good that I was left stunned. So, how much is going to run me? I asked Lisa as she was making tea. She gave me a bit of grim look. Perhaps she didn't like talking about money. Roughly 10 moles a day. Isn't that a bit much? I imagine she didn't go out to eat often. It went without saying, but the exchange rate for moles was fairly high, so imports from Earth were rather cheap. Lunar cities import a lot of daily essentials, so the effect of the exchange rate were quite obvious. When I looked at Lisa with dissatisfaction, Lisa answered back with a serious face. This includes the lodging. You could have said that earlier. Well, when it comes to money matters, you're to the point, aren't you? It seems that she was trying to test me. With that, she handed me a cup of tea, but it wasn't like the green tea I used to drink at home. It was a type of Chinese tea that used fermented tea leaves, but the name wasn't going to me. Of course, it's not like I'm having fun running away from home, only to return then I'm out of money, you know? Hmm? But at this rate, won't the things get worse? And if your conviction is strong, what will you do from here? So that's what this was all about. I got it now. Now I can put you up, as you can see around you. We aren't exactly financially well off here. If you run out of resources, it will not be possible to support you. Basically, I will need to work for my meals, right? Exactly. The motto of our church is everyone has a responsibility. A theological a millennium ago once said that manual labor is sacred. I replied immediately. I have no objections. Oh, how honest. Obviously. In that case, I can introduce you to a variety of jobs, but what you be interested in? So I guess Hagana also working. Huh? While I was out of shopping, I gathered together some information from here and there. They are people I've known for a long time, so I can trust them. They are people who come from hardship, so people like you, well, you can understand. In any case, it seems a lot of them are short-handed. Would you be interested in working in the kitchen, delivery work, construction, or cleaning? Lisa smiled from the other end of the table. So, did he gonna explain what he has money? Wait, weren't all of these low-wage jobs for unskilled laborers? I reached out for a neglected piece of the bread when my head was slapped lightly. You know the saying, if man will not work, he shall not eat. How much will I make at each of these 4 jobs anyway? Well, the highest would be for delivery. I've been told that you can earn 9 miles an hour for it. I'm not sure what kind of expression I had on my face, but whatever it was, it wasn't good. Lisa reacted accordingly. Do you have a problem with it? It's a 9 miles. It is true that you will have to do deliveries to places of different distances, but you do have a surprising amount of endurance. It might have been fine with the well-laid-out Green City and Newton City, but it made me shiver to think about making deliveries in the mess that was the outer sections. 9 miles an hour only amounted to 100 moves a day. The rate of earning here was pretty low, given the fact that I'd earn around 10,000 moves at my best in a week. This was out of question. Besides, it will have to be done in the damn time, wouldn't it? Of course. She stuffed that precise piece of bread down her throat, as she looked menacingly at me. This isn't a job for kids, you know? Or is that your intention? No, that's not it. Then what? Just wanted to say, it isn't something worth it for me to do. After that, Lisa opened her mouth as if to say something, but I didn't really want to have an argument about it, so I reached into my pocket and I produced some cash that was bundled separately from my wallet. Of course, I kept it for a specific purpose or for some shopping, but it wasn't really a large amount of money. I took the largest notes from the bundle and placed two bills on the table. In any case, here is 200 smalls, so please let me stay here for 20 days. Honestly, if you kick me out, that would be troublesome. Besides, if you took a gun out of the picture, this rather cozy place was dirt cheap for 10 smalls a day. For one evening, Big Bull Cafe cost 15 moons. Food was extra, and you never knew when the cops would come strolling in. There wasn't any security in the booths either. Staying here 20 days for 200 smalls wasn't a bad investment at all. I looked at Lisa. When I did so, Lisa was looking at the two, uh, two 100 smalls notes I placed before her. Is that okay? When I asked her, Lisa was taken aback as she looked at me. Hmm? Right, of course. I wouldn't kick you out, but I was a bit concerned about her change in expression. Okay. I mean, it obviously she don't expect him actually have money. Maybe she thought they were counterfeit. It isn't dirty money or anything. At my words, Lisa looked a bit flustered as she shook her head. I'm sorry, it isn't that. Then what was it? Or at least that was what I'm tempted to say. But given the circumstances, I said nothing. Besides, we'd already deviated from talking about those scrappy jobs, so I did want to put an end to this discussion. If there isn't any problem, I'd like for you to take it. I also want you to not bother me for these 20 days. In my mind, I wanted to add those words, but my face didn't reflect that. Just to make sure, I had some bean soup and helped myself to some bread. Lisa still looked confused, but then she sighed and nodded her head slowly. Okay, I'll take it. Ah. For a brief moment, things proceeded smoothly under this roof. Then right after I could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But what will you do after this? This woman was persistent. I couldn't hide my displeasure as my poker face cracked. I turned to Lisa and could think of only one thing to say. Let me think about it 20 days from now. This wasn't going to fly, was it? I looked at Lisa, but it seems that she had given up. I'm not one to talk in this case, I suppose. Huh? Oh, nothing. But you really should think about what you will do after these 20 days. A lifetime is long, and you'll be surprised at how even something like breathing in this city will cost you something. So I guess she thinking what he spent money, what he take from home when escape or something. But yeah, right. I went how she get angry at talking about money. Whose words she said they were particularly powerful. Well, perhaps she hated money because she didn't have much. For some reason, that seemed unlikely. I finished up the remaining mineware and sopped up the rest of the soup in my bowl with some bread. Lisa took the two banknotes that I gave her and placed them in a small accessory box hidden away in the corner of the shelf filled with cookware. It's not like she's a kid stealing some pocket money, but seeing Lisa like this led me to believe that perhaps she had her head in the clouds at this point. My impression of Lisa was that she was an annoying and stupid woman, but at the same time she was a mature woman who surprisingly had both feet planted firmly on the ground. This was a bit different from before. I could only think of her as being unreliable and airheaded. I wondered why. I was a bit curious, but everyone had their circumstances. After Re-evaluating Sophica's come to mind to ask, "Hey, yes?" She looked like she snapped to her sense as she looked up after closing her accessory case and turned to face me. What is it? You were talking about how everyone has to do their own job earlier, but does that mean even that girl works? It's Hagana, not that girl. Hey, she referred to me like that too, you know? Can't you reach a compromise? Besides, she's mostly just shy towards our people. To me, she is a very good girl. Yesterday, it didn't look like she was listening to you, Tao. Ah, in any case, it's Hagana, okay? Hagana. I know, I know. Give me a break here. Jeez. You were talking about Hagana, right? Yes, she works. For real? For real. I bit my lips as she mimicked me. I got a note when she said that. I sound like a street thug, but to copy me like that was irritating. Stop trying to act tough and talk normally. Be quiet, you. I retorted as if I didn't have anything else to say, as if I were a spoiled child. And though it was unbearable, it seems like I was no match for Lisa. But it is true, though. She is working as a teacher. What? I wasn't putting on airs. I was honestly surprised. Malfa gave a look at Lisa and repeated. A teacher? Her? Yep, that girl is very smart after all. Well, she does rather look down on ours. On that, it is true that I cannot deny it, but in a way she's always had that look in her eyes. It bores her sometimes as well, so please don't get too mad at that. For me, okay? Ah. I gave a snort of laughter and turned away. I wasn't laughing at her expense, just thinking about how Hagana was self-conscious of her appearance tugged at my hairstrings a bit. That was so cute. She gathers the neighborhood children and teaches them. She really works hard. Sorry. I used to do something like that in the past, but I wasn't good at it. If it is about the social sciences, then I can handle it. But there isn't exactly demand for that. Huh? Is that so? I gotta specialize in the sciences. She's especially good with math. It's good to have knowledge is useful is useful in the world. I attended university here on the moon, you know, but my concentration was in Catholicism in medieval Europe and its relation to aboriginal religions. What the heck is that? But yeah, there isn't anyone on the moon who would be interested in studying your history, much less religious history. I was then university professor that had came here to take a charge of that the column had to earnestly beg me to keep the research going, which was a bit of a shock. Well, if you are going to pay for classes, then definitely math or physics, or if you had even more money than chemistry or biology. Now medical school is a different matter. In any case, I am well aware of all of this. Exactly. I hear all the time that if not for money, then there's nothing to study. It's a deplorable situation. I didn't know whether or not it was that deplorable, but the only problem was that Lisa had chosen to live her life on the moon. In order to succeed on the moon, there was no time to study literature or history. It would be better to major in math-heavy scientific fields or focus on economics or management if one were not scientifically inclined. But if Lisa were to have any regrets over that, they would be pretty minuscule. I was able to trust her because somehow it did appear that she had her feet planted firmly on the ground. However, that girl as a teacher, tough. I mumbled to myself as I tried to visualize it. In her all-black get-up, looking down on her with her eyes and words as she taught from the podium, asking why the students didn't understand what was simple to her. If there was a demand for situations like that, I'd totally never hear about them. For someone with a snort fuse like Agana to have a bunch of bratty little animals as her students, I questioned whether or not that was really a good idea. Any infraction would get a warning the first time, but the second time around she'd smack them with a stick without saying another word. It was so fitting that it was scary. I more or less know what are you thinking. Well, who wouldn't hate a teacher like that? Now that you mention it, the children get along very well with her. Lisa said it quietly, as if she were telling me a secret. It appeared that Lisa didn't actually think they got along. Well, she has been an integral part of supporting this church. She gives me everything she earns, you know. And how the Lord wants against greed, He doesn't wish for extreme poverty either. I don't really get it, but I understand that appearances can be deceiving. That's right. If I were to make decisions just on what I see, I wouldn't have come to your aid. Whatever. Thanks for the meal. I'll say that it didn't taste half bad. My, really? But Hagana doesn't really like it much. As I stood up from my chair, something came to mind. Maybe you put a bit too much seasoning in there. I prefer stronger flavors, so it's fine for me, but... really? My folks were manual laborers, and basically they always prepared things chaotically with strong flavoring, so it's a lot like that. Lisa had one hand on the table and the other clutching her head. You could say that it was something of a blind spot. I got it, thanks. The pasta at the Big Bull Cafe mixed salt and garlic very well, and tastes pretty good by the way. Lisa looked up at the ceiling as if to utter a prayer of something. I shrugged and opened up the computer sitting on the coffee table in front of the sofa, and returned to looking for money makers. The moon had low gravity, so it was common to utilize a spring when doing any weight training. A route that Coil made for that purpose had been sold online and was a rather popular product. However, it was questionable how many who bought it actually used it. After all, the fitness company who made a fortune selling sets of rods, and Coils had managed to sell over 3 million sets, including similar items. But no matter how you looked at it, any single set would be more than sufficient. In fact, the population of the moon was about 700,000 people. I thought tourists would send that number up to the 1 million. There were many people out there who would buy it and not use it, knowing that a new mall was on the way. Even if the equipment was used properly, there was the matter of using it for more difficult applications, and then the user manual would neglect to notice. The words of my stubborn old-fashioned father would repeat in my head while I did weight training. With weights on my arms, shoulders, back, and arms, I would do balance training involving headstands, and light somersaults would go on for no more than 20 minutes. Since I wasn't aiming to be an athlete, any training beyond that wasn't really necessary. If nothing else, the people who came from that town my folks were from, the kind who could never tell a lie, would all say in unison to take care of the body, for it will always be useful. It's the height of net prosperity and the lower gravity and the near unlimited supply of electrical power on the moon. Physical labor was categorized as being the lowest of the low in terms of recognition. There weren't any people who had made it big with physical labor. At best, there was always the consideration of those who worked in show business. But even then, the ones who got paid the big money weren't the actors who told the way in their crafts, but the people who managed them. However, after leaving home and taking the time to observe things outside of the boundaries of the rules of society, I had come to understand that there was a lot of truth in those words. Even after evading the police sent to bring me back home, I realized that there was some useful advice to be had, as expected of whose seasoned veterans who escaped from the jobs of guerrilla fighters, secret police, and military juntas. I washed the seat off with a towel and put on my clothes, the same clothes Liz and Hagama were complaining about before. After two washes, I probably finally got rid of the smell, but I had feeling that I had washed away something like an important mark of readiness that had been stained into the clothing in the last 3 months. Hmm. The one thing I had become aware of after leaving home was that people were relaxed by the smell of detergent. The word cleanliness had a rather weak image. Then again, this wasn't half bad. Hmm. Okay, I guess it's on already next day, or maybe it's a time skip. But let's stop here. It was already around the hour, I believe. Yeah. Oh yeah, let's stop here. Let's make sure what we save this time. Mm, okay, this should be saved. Okay. Oh, it's all for today. Um, we continue reading this visual novel on Friday. But before that, goodbye. Have a nice time of the day.